This episode of After Dark is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to support the Boss Rush Network and our family of podcasts, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. Thanks for your continued support. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Boss Rush After Dark, the alternative podcast here for the Boss Rush Network. I am your one and only host tonight, Corey Dirrig, and everybody else is not here because I'm recording late on Sunday, partially because I can't sleep, but also kind of wanted everybody to have the week off, and like most things, I overthink everything, and thought that, if I asked people, they would get annoyed. Not that they get annoyed, I just, that's how my brain works, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is how my brain works. So, yeah, I didn't ask anybody because I wanted everybody to have the week off, and I didn't want to take that away from anybody, and so what we're going to do tonight is kind of have a 25-minute solo show. So if you are interested in hearing me speak, keep it on. If you're not, then sorry. There's always next week, I guess. I don't know. Also, we're kind of missing episodes, and I'm trying to get ahead. Those are kind of like the three reasons why I'm recording so late here. Yeah, I want to, first of all, thank everybody for supporting us on Patreon. If you do so, if you do not support us, you can get this show and other shows early for only $1 a month. You don't have to, though. As always, your listenership and your YouTube subscription is enough for us. So if you want to subscribe to us on YouTube and leave us a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts, that would be great. That would really help us out a lot. You can check out all of our content on bossrush.net, and including all of our PAX coverage, which is very exciting. I'm recording this the weekend after PAX, so like a week later, and it was fun seeing everybody. It was really fun recording on site. I learned a lot about what to do and what not to do in terms of recording stuff, so that was fun. Also, my camera just needs to go in the dumpster. It's very old and very not. It says high def on it, but it is not high def. So, I mean, this webcam is, a USB webcam is better quality than this dumpster fire I took to PAX. So next time, maybe I'll just take this. But yeah, PAX was super fun. I just kind of want to take this time to talk about my experience at PAX, not the games and stuff, because that's not what this show's about, right? This show's about everything else other than games. At least we try to make it that way. But more of the experience of meeting my friends for the first time. And then the second part will be about mostly how they always talk about post-con depression. And the second part of it's going to be about how I am having a really hard time with that. And so, yeah, if you're ready for a sappy episode, get your tissues out, and for your eyes, not anything else dirty. Laron's not here, so we're not having that type of episode tonight. So yeah, I mean, PAX was so much fun getting to meet everybody. It was a surreal experience because we usually look at each other in these little boxes on these podcasts, and you never really know who's listening and who's not, and who's a part of it, and you kind of assume certain things, but you're never quite sure. And so, uh, it was very, very surreal and very heartwarming to be in a place where it felt like it just felt very comforting in a way, which usually when this kind of stuff happens for me, it just kind of like not comforting. It's like the complete opposite where I'm just an anxious, nervous wreck the entire time. Uh, but this time it was not that. So I'm very grateful for that. You know, Flying on a plane by myself is not something I do often, not something I really like to do by myself. I don't really like to fly at all. So that was anxiety inducing. But yeah, meeting everybody, like, I definitely knew who I was going to be friends with and who I was, kind of had this thing of like, not who I wasn't going to be friends with, but, like you build these certain online relationships and you kind of know where these directions are going and people that you work with versus people who you would consider friends. And I honestly did not think I was going to come out of this considering every single person there a friend, right? Obviously, I've met Ed before, and on our old YouTube channel, you can go over there and see Ed and I do some dumb YouTube stuff and let's plays and unboxings and podcasts and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, Ed's really the only person I've ever met in person. So meeting Pat and David and Stephanie and Mary and Cordy for the first time and really like not just like meeting them, but really getting to know everybody um, was really a really great experience. I really kind of forgot what it was like to have real life friends because I don't have many or any. Uh, I mean, I have, a couple people that I would consider real life friends, but like some of them I haven't seen for months or even years at this point. And so I don't know how much of a friend, I mean, always going to be friends, but you know what I mean? So having these real life friends and a group of friends was um I was a little like shocked and I didn't really know what to do really, right? Like and um the overall thing is like I spent a lot of the initial day kind of trying to figure it out and overthink everything and overthink everybody's kind of like friendliness and affection and uh, just talking and having conversations with people in real life. And I spent the the next 3 days overthinking, well, I don't want this to end instead of just enjoying the moment. And so uh, I that's kind of like the one regret I have about this entire thing because like we have plans to do this stuff again, right? But like you never really know, like, what if people leave? What if, somebody gets another job somewhere? What if people can't afford to go? What if something happens to me? Like I really wish I would have cherished the moment a little bit better. Although I just want to kind of like run through things real quick. I really it's funny because the person I least expected to really bond with was David, honestly. Like not that like we weren't friendly, but I think, over the course of the last 2.5 to 3 years, when you only text someone and only see them a couple times a year to talk about certain things, uh sometimes your texts get taken out of context or like you're scrambling to text something to get some information and it comes off as rude or mean. And I think our relationship had become somewhat adversarial unintentionally. And so the person I was the most nervous to interact with was David because of that. And it's never my intention to be that way with anybody. But we actually had some really great conversations. We had some really bizarre bonding moments, and things that we just kind of like, I don't know, it was, that I think that might, over this entire trip, that was my favorite, one of my favorite interactions, and one of my favorite uh things was David and I's kind of bonding over certain things. And I didn't expect certain things from David that happened, and it was fun and it was exciting. And uh like I said, I wish I would have been in the moment more and done more. uh but yeah, I think we were it was funny. We were interviewing our friend Jess from Zelda Universe, and like the thing we the thing we bonded over was like, she asked us to pick thirst trap pictures for her on Instagram. And so we were like, David went first, which I was shocked that David did it at all, which is the moment I knew. I was like, okay, we're going to be all right. We're going to be friends. This is funny. And the funniest thing though is like, there was probably like 10 or 15 pictures that we both flipped through, and we both picked the same two, which was the moment I knew we were going to be friends forever, I think, in some way. Um, so that was really funny. And, a couple times at dinner, we were, going over things, and we have similar ideas, and, we want to grow together instead of apart. And that's kind of where we landed on Boss Rush stuff. But, I think David and I kind of became really, really good friends over the course of this trip. And I'm really sad we didn't get like at the end of the trip, I kind of took solo pictures with everybody. And then, we all obviously took the group picture on the last day, and David had to leave early. And I was kind of sad that we didn't get a picture together, really. I mean, we had the team picture at the beginning and dinner pictures and stuff, but nothing like, I don't know. I kind of missed that. But, I think our goal is to go to PAX West at some point. I think our um, goal definitely next year is to go to PAX East again, and hopefully do something. I would really like to do something in between with the team. I don't know how viable it is. We're all over in different financial situations, but this, yeah. And then the other kind of, Cordy was great. Like we bonded over just like dumb, dumb stuff. Like, I don't know, dumb things that were happening on the floor, and dumb things that were happening everywhere. And it was fun. Like we had a good time together, and we just kind of, I don't know, every time we were together, we just found a way to make each other laugh. And that was super fun. And, yeah, it was funny because there was like, she's really big on TikTok, and, I guess adjacently Instagram reels and stories and stuff like that. And she just set up in the middle of the convention center with a camera, and like made people come over, and it was really fun and funny to watch certain people kind of interact. And uh, I don't know, we always found a way to laugh, and it was fun. So and then, Mary Helen and I kind of did our thing with interviews, and, she taught me a lot about, passively, really, for the most part, but also, kind of aggressively about interviewing people, and kind of what an interview could and should look like. And I kind of took what, we did with Anshar Gaming, I think is what they're called. They were in the games from Poland booth, and I kind of applied some of that to my Atari interview, and it was great. And then, another thing was collaborating with David on that, where he wrote the article and I posted the video, and we kind of did the thing. But, Mary Helen taught me a lot about writing, and even afterwards, kind of bonding over, haha, you're from Florida type thing, because the memes about Florida. So that was really fun. And then Pat and I we were buds hanging out with Major Nelson and all these other people. That was really fun. Pat really encouraged me to do certain things that I didn't think I was gonna be able to do or want to do. Right, like the Giant Bomb, former Giant Bomb team was there from the Beast Cast, the old Beast Cast, and uh, Pat was there for that moment, and it made me. He made me do it, and I'm really glad he made me do it because I don't know if I would have otherwise. They're just too cool to interrupt their, kind of walking through the convention center. So, yeah. And then obviously Ed is Ed. And I don't know, our relationship hasn't really changed in the last 8 years or so. So I don't have anything new to say about Ed, but Ed's just the energy. Ed's the energy in the room. Ed's the positivity in the room. And I don't know what we would be without him, really. I mean, he's the glue that kind of holds us together, and what he, kind of, I don't want to say lacks in, but like Ed has some hot takes, and so some of them are completely wrong. So what he lacks in awareness, he makes up for in heart, and we'll never be able to take that away from him. And I mean that in the best way possible. I don't mean that in a bad way. Okay. I know that kind of came out bad, but I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it in a great way. And I wish more people were like that, to be honest, to not care what other people think about you and what you say. And you're going to stick to your guns. And that's Ed to a T. And so I wish I was more like that, because I overly care what everybody thinks about me. And that is also a very terrible trait to have, especially when you are somewhat of a public-esque figure in terms of people talking to you and having really, when you look up to people, you are usually the fan, and people you go to try to talk to, like the Iron Lords, for example, meeting, Cog and Lemon and Chris and all those guys for the first time. It was like, holy cow, holy shit. These are people I've looked up to for years. Uh, the last word is why, my Destiny podcast kind of exists. And it's crazy being on the other end of that when you find a fan that recognizes you and wants to take a picture and tries to talk to you about things. And it was nothing I ever thought I was going to experience in my lifetime. And I mean, we've been recognized before, but nothing like nothing at this scale, and nothing like real. Right. And so, yeah, it was crazy being on that end. But the one person I guess I didn't get to yet is Stephanie, and which I think is the person that I think we bonded the most over certain things. And I always knew Stephanie and I were friends, right? But like, it kind of meant a lot. We were talking at one point, and she really made me feel better about a lot of things that were going on. And it was really nice. I don't want to get into it because some of it is personal and some of it is things I don't know if I really want to talk about yet in a real way. But it really helped. And on a short list of close friends, she's found a permanent spot on that list, and I am forever grateful. I don't know if she's listening to this, probably not, because who listens to their own podcasts? I most certainly don't, except that I have to edit them, so sometimes I do. But I am forever grateful for her friendship on certain things, just from a different perspective, I'll say. And it meant a lot. I mean, obviously, like Ed and I's friendship we are super close friends in a way, right? I mean, we are close friends, but Stephanie and I are a different type of close now. Not in a weird way, just how you have that one friend that you can kind of share anything with, and they just will listen and give their advice and talk, and if they need something similar, you give that to them, right? And so uh yeah, I'll be forever grateful to have a you know at least another close friend that um and one that I can kind of share things with, like that. So my interaction at PAX East with everybody was incredible. Also, you can't forget Grayson. He's always around. Met Grayson Morales, our friend, for the first time in person, and he's a really cool dude. I gotta say, he just the nicest guy, nicest friend. Obviously he knows everybody, but I think it's because he's so nice to everybody that everybody just wants to be his friend, and um, which is good. That's a good trait to have. I wish I was that way. I wish I was half that way. So yeah, meeting Grayson was fun. Met a lot of cool people. So that was kind of like that was my experience at PAX, and it was really fun meeting everybody and having a great time with friends. Because at the end of the day, like going out to dinner or ordering in or trying to figure out, let's all work on this piece together, or let's all kind of talk about this together. And it was, I don't know. I used the term euphoric at one point, and I know that's usually a word used in a sexual way, but you know, euphoria is like an extreme feeling of positivity and happiness, right? And that's that's how I felt. And like coming home, and I haven't felt this way in such a long time, right? Like I I came home and realized that these friends of mine reminded me what it was like to be me in a situation like this, right? Not a version of me, not the version that people will, you know, tolerate being around, not the version of, business me or, you know, online me. They allowed me to be me, right? You know, hugging people and putting arms around people and, just they allowed me to be myself. And I have not experienced that in probably 15-ish years, which was the last time I think I had like a real group of friends. And then obviously, like when something happens and your friends go their separate ways because of this one bad thing, right? Like, you lose that. And, um, I was never in like a, not to make this some sob story, but like, never after that, never really recovering from this one situation, and then moving into bad relationship after, you know, a relationship that I was the bad person, and then moving into another bad relationship and everything in between. Like I was in a bad place, and like, I always attribute this show to like, my wife really pulling me out of a bad place. But the way I felt there was so happy and so joyous that, when you have to be a version of yourself. um I kind of I've been saying this a lot lately for some reason. Like, everything in life is a performance, right? You go to work, you perform, right? You perform as the business version of yourself. You go and obviously it's not like there's no like strict guidelines to performance, right? But like, you go to work, you perform as an employee at work. You come home, you perform as this the husband or the partner or the dad, or when you're dealing with parents, you perform as the son. And it's never really like, as much as you want to say it is, it's never the full version of you, or it's never like even a partial version of you. It's just a version of you that you have, at least in my case. And this, maybe this is a bad thing, I mean, some situations I would say it's a bad thing, some it's just kind of like a thing you do to kind of, um, uh, in my case, I guess, not let people know what's going on with you, because you don't want to burden people with these things that are happening in your mind, and these things that you kind of expect people to be annoyed by if you shared them. So you just kind of like tuck it all inside and think about it later when you can't sleep, or uh, have the you just kind of become this version of yourself that just kind of ignores feelings and ignores how you feel and ignores these things that you should be feeling. And we're gonna try to do some mental health awareness stuff in May, right? And I think by the time this is free, May is coming up, or I'm not 100% sure when this is coming out. I guess this week for patrons. So uh, but anyways, what I'm trying to say is, like, you become this version of yourself, and then you kind of get used to performing as that version of yourself, to the point where you convince yourself that that's who you are, right? And then you go to a place that feels like you belong, and not like you belong in a way like, oh, well, you're a gamer, you should be here, right? I like, you're with a group of friends that accepts you for who you are and how you feel. And so, like, being there, like, I was really emotional a couple nights, because I was like taking it all in, and just, you know, being, and trying to be more of myself than I have been in a long time. And the next time we all get together, I was telling um someone this the other day, like, I'm going to be my full self the next time we go. I'm going to work really hard at trying to be my full self, because even that, like, what I allowed myself to be, myself there, where, like, kind of, you kind of start living this life where you have to, like, feel around, right? Like, have to feel out the situation and feel out how these people are going to react. But, like, no, it was like inspiring, of like, hey, you should do this, you should give hugs, you should like lay on someone's shoulder, you should put your arm around your friends and be in the moment. And uh and I used to love doing all that stuff, right? Like, like, I used to have like a group of friends where, you know whether we were dating or not, like, you'd put your arm around them, or you would, you know, cuddle up with them, and not in like a sexual way, just like, hey, we are all hanging out in this person's basement. We're going to put on a movie. Let's just all be together. And, uh, that's the group of friends I used to have. And this really felt like, and, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable by doing that kind of stuff, but like, it really felt like a group of friends that wouldn't mind if that happened, and it felt good to have friends that just accepted that as who you are, and like, oh, I feel a certain way about this. Okay, cool, great. Oh, I kind of like this and this. Okay, cool. Let's do that, or let's explore that. Let's talk about it. And it was like I said, a euphoric feeling. And when I came home, when I came home, um, and I don't want to make this sound like I my wife and kids don't make me happy, because they do, but like, I felt and still feel really empty because I let myself out, right? I let myself out, and now I have to pretend to be this version of myself I've been for so long, and I have to like stuff myself back into this, you know, it's like it's like stuffing all, it's like trying to repackage something that you've opened and it doesn't fit, right? Or it doesn't quite go in correctly, or some of it you just have to say, fuck it, I don't know what to do with it. And it's been really hard to do that. um it's been really hard to put that genie back in the bottle, in a sense. And coming home, I felt really empty, and it's been dark in more ways than one. And I'm not like, you know I've just been feeling the post-con depression more than I think most people, longer than most people do, and maybe more than most people do. Um, and I wasn't expecting that. Um, and so I guess I just wanted to share that with everybody, is like, I have some real friends out there, real tangible friends that are amazing people who are not afraid to let you be who you are. And I get that, like, you know, and I'm not saying it in the way of just like, you know, it wasn't it wasn't weird to be in a place with, people, judgmental people, right? Like gay friends or trans friends, or, you know, people of color, those types of friends. And like, as and that's like the big thing in entertainment right now, right? Games especially, is like, you know we're trying to raise these people's voices up, right? And like, but at the end of the day, like, when we're all together, we're all just friends. And it was really incredible. And um maybe this will be a topic for after dark in a couple weeks or so, but like, um nobody ever really talks about this, the internal kind of emotional and mental struggles of being a man, I guess you would say a traditional straight man with a family, and that type of things, and how you're expected to be. And I'm not trying to make this about that, because that's a topic for a different day. But like, coming home and feeling that kind of perf- I have to put on this performance again, and uh yeah, it's been really hard. It's been really difficult for me to be back um doing these things. And I don't I don't like how I feel. The other, by the time this comes out, I guess the other day, like, I posted this thing that said mental health really hit me hard. Um and so it's or mental health really puts you in your place, is what I put out there, and it's true. Like this has been one of the surprisingly one of the more difficult experiences of my life is leaving people that I truly care for, um, and also, you know, at least how I feel, right? Like they care for me, and it's been really hard, and so I think this episode of After Dark was just kind of like a a spearheaded or a like kind of like an experiment of something that I think I want to try to do soon, and that's like a almost like a feelings journal, but outwardly, and hopefully help people kind of come to terms with what they're going through, maybe. And I know everybody's going through something, right? And I'm trying to keep that in mind. Everybody has their own shit. Everybody's gone through something, right? And um that's that's what I'm trying to keep in mind here. And so, like, leaving a group of friends is hard for me, right? It might not be hard to other people. It probably isn't that hard for everybody else there. Like, I mean, yeah, you're sad to see them go, but like, a couple days later, you're fine, right? You just text them or call them or whatever. But the way my brain works and the way that everything kind of comes to the surface for me, with the some of the mental health things that I've been really struggling with recently, like leaving everybody was extremely difficult for me, right? And um yeah, that was really hard. And so I guess I should probably just end this episode, because we've been going for almost 40 minutes at this point, but I want everybody on the and who's listening to know that, like, the people here who do this thing with me, um are real true friends. And uh like I told Stephanie the other day, and like I've told Ed before, like if Boss Rush ended tomorrow, I would hope that this friendship is more than just Boss Rush, right? Like this friendship, it means something to me. Um, and I don't say that to a lot of people because I don't open up to people. It's been a long time since I've opened up to people. Like, even it's even really hard for me to open up to my wife, especially this late in our relationship, right? Because it's just like, well, I don't want to burden you with something I probably should have told you 9.5 years ago. Uh, so yeah, it's been really difficult for me, but I am truly grateful to have friends and truly grateful to be able to do this with them, and for you guys out there who are listening. And having a close group of friends is something that you should not take for granted. I wish we all lived closer. I wish we could see each other on the weekends. I wish we could hang out. I wish we could go out. And the next time we see each other, we will definitely do all that. You know, um, I wish we could go see movies together. I wish we could go out to dinner, or I don't know what people in their 30s do now. Like, it's been so long. So yeah, that's kind of where I want to end it. Don't take your friends for granted, your close friends, um, because they are the people who are going to mean the most to you in the end. Um, and your closest friends will always be there for you. And I am incredibly grateful to have these friends. And I would, LaRon too. I mean, LaRon wasn't there, but like, LaRon and I have bonded over certain things on our one-on-one episodes, and I'm incredibly grateful for him too. I know I haven't mentioned him at all, but this was more about like the PAX experience. But he's been a really great friend to me as well over the years, and yeah. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I want to thank everybody for listening to me ramble for 40 minutes. If you made it this far, hi, welcome, thanks. It's been a pleasure to be able to do this. I want to be able to do this more in shorter form things, maybe like 10-minute things. Because I think expressing how you feel about certain things is important. And sometimes it's hard to tell people, right? Like I mentioned earlier, but talking into a camera just seems easier, and letting people watch it later seems way easier, even though it's probably the opposite of what you want to do. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I appreciate everybody for watching or listening to this episode, this solo episode of After Dark. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to talk about friendship and having, some probably dark feelings that may be questionable. I'm all right. I'm working through these feelings. But I'm incredibly grateful for everybody that listens and all my friends. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Remember to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen or watch or found this episode. Check out bossrush.net. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/bossrushnetwork. And we will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/bossrushnetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.